What's up, you guys? Welcome back to this YouTube Barber Academy. Now today I'm going to be going through a low fade on this really dark, really thick hair. And first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna begin by combing this out. Now I'm gonna show you the way that I work my way through this, how you can avoid some of the pitfalls that some people fall into, and so that you could do this too as easy as could be, whether you're a beginner or whether you're more advanced. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my croc clips and I'm gonna part it off at the parietal ridge, and then I'm gonna throw in some hairspray in the very front. That's gonna lay the hair down. That's gonna keep the hair straight for when I come back and do the edge up. I'm just thinking ahead, and I wanna give that time to dry. So the very next thing I need to do before I put my skin line in, before I do anything too crazy, is I need to get rid of some of this bulk. And it doesn't really make a difference what I do. I decided to grab a number 2 and just kind of remove some of this bulk so that I could see what's going on underneath. I'm gonna turn it around and go with the grain a little bit on top. This is not gonna make anything great happen. I'm just trying to remove some of this bulk so I could get right down to business. Now, I'm gonna put my skin line in with my Gamma Evos, and I'm going to make it shape and drop low around the head. I also want to make sure that I remove all that hair, and this is a step that I don't want to have to return to. I want to make life easy when I come back with the electric shaver. So the idea here in my fade system is to make some really small jumps. So I want to make a small jump from skin to trimmer. So with that trimmer being 0 gap, we've talked about that before, and you guys can check out my barber survival guide if you need to see how to do it. But I'm going to also really focus on making sure that it's the same on both sides. Use your mirror. Also get down in front of your client and look at them on the eye level and make sure that it's even. Starting with the electric shaver. Now what you're gonna see me do is you're gonna see me come up right, it looks like I'm banging right into that line, but the truth is I'm stopping just a smidge before that line, and I might do some taps down, taps up. I just wanna make sure that I have no line in between skin and that trimmer line. So skin obviously is what's happening when I put it in with the electric shaver, but I wanna make sure that I'm reducing the amount of trouble that I might have down the road in this cut, and I'm following the shape of that original guideline that I put in. Of course, if it's really hard to get around the ears, we're gonna grab the Uno single foil shaver. Absolutely love this thing, and I'm going to just knock out all that hair. So let's begin this blend, all right? We're gonna put in a nice guideline about the width of my pinky. I wanna compress this blend. You guys are liking these type of cuts, and I'm just going to travel all the way around the head 360 degrees with this step. So I don't want you guys just working on one step like you might see me doing, but the reason I do that is for video. When I cut hair in the shop, I work this step evenly around the head so that it's exactly the same everywhere we go. All right, so working in this right side and making sure that I follow the shape of that original guideline. Now there's a reason why I put my guideline in like this, and it goes down to the skin line positioning video if you guys want to check that out. But because I put the skin line in with this type of curve, that's the way the blend's gonna flow, and that's gonna leave me some hair to edge up into. Now, I realize my shoulder got in the way a few times in this portion, but I promise you the other side's gonna be even better. So we're going in with the number 1 open now, and I'm just going above that line. I don't really care about my skin line or any of that right now. I'm just using that 1 open, and I'm trying to get that hair blended into the top real nice. So I'm gonna begin closing it down little by little until I feel like I've used the 1 for all it's worth. Opening it back up, doing the same thing in the back. And again, when I do these steps, I try to do these 360 degrees around the head. We're looking to save time. This is already a difficult haircut. We're gonna have some time to detail later. So now I'm gonna go completely closed. All right, this is completely closed with a taper blade. So with my taper blade in the closed position, I'm going to begin just flicking up at that line. That's the only thing I'm doing. I'm just flicking up just a smidge above that trimmer line that we put in. I know that a taper blade, even though it's 0 gapped, is not gonna cut close enough to remove this line. That's fine, but I wanna do my best to start removing that line. I'm gonna begin opening in it, and I'm gonna stay a little bit higher. Open it, you can listen for it to cut, you could hear it, you stay just a little bit higher. Now, what you're gonna notice is the taper blade is not gonna be enough to get rid of it entirely, so we're gonna jump over to a fade blade, and I have the fusion blade on my Gamma Rebel, and with that Rebel, I'm able to cut that line all the way out just about. So I begin with it closed just like I did before, and begin popping it open little by little. So that's kind of the way I like to do it. That's how I like to compress these blends, how to get them done fast. So the nice thing about working with a taper blade and a fade blade is you're able to hit all those lengths in between, and then it's going to be really simple when you grab your half guard and you begin working into those upper lengths. So again, recapping on this side, we're just going in with an open taper guideline. We're setting in that first guideline, and then I'm gonna close this all the way down, and I'm gonna begin just flicking out that line. What's nice about this technique is sometimes you'll flick just right, and you'll make sure that that line will just disappear, and there won't be a whole lot more of opening and closing that you'll have to do. And other times you're going to have to fight with it a little bit more. That's why some of you guys ask me for videos like this where you're like, hey Ed, can you do a video where you show me every single step when the lever moves? Well, I could, but that's not gonna help you because your canvas is gonna be different than my canvas. Your hair might have different growth patterns than my hair. So we can see that we still got a little bit of work to do around the curve of that guideline, but just trust the process, believe in it, and little by little, we're gonna get it all down, all right? So with the 1 1/2, I began with it open, began with it closed, all right? All of these steps, look, all of these steps from trimmer all the way to, I'll say the 1 1/2 and anything beyond that, these are set up for you to succeed. So if you see this chart, you see the way I have this chart, everything is set up for you to succeed, and it doesn't really make a difference what order you choose to do all this in. It makes a difference that you do it all. So I hope that you understand what I'm saying. In some combination, you're gonna hit all these lengths and you're gonna get this blended out just right. So now I'm coming back in with the half, and I'm gonna come back in with my fade blade on this side because I know that I got a little bit of a fight going here, but it's the nature of the game. Sometimes you're gonna get into this and it's gonna go perfect. But if you pay attention to my client, if you pay attention to my canvas, you're gonna notice that not only is his scalp kind of light, he's got really dark hair, it's really curly, and it just is growing in all these different directions. It would be a mistake for me to just charge right in there and cut it all off. Like, I need to do this kind of strategically, and I need to make sure that I'm not cutting away that darkness. So that darkness is just, it's super important that you understand what you're doing when you do these haircuts. You might think, oh, I'm just gonna debulk with a number 4 on the back and sides. But on some people's hair, a number 4 might be too short. So you just eliminated all this darkness that you could use. You're trying to create contrast. You need to create really tight skin all the way to some hair, and you wanna have some contrast. But if you cut that top too short, your contrast is gonna be gone. So we're jumping back and forth just a little bit between the Rebel and this taper blade on the apex. The taper blade is really useful in this situation. Like right now, you see me going back through some of my steps. I got the half, I'll grab the 1, I'll jump through. But one of the reasons why I'm using a taper blade while I do this is because they're super, super forgiving. If I chose to do these steps with my fade blade, of course I could do them, but if I make a mistake, the fade blade might make me pay, whereas if I make a mistake doing this, this is not really gonna make me pay as bad, and especially when we're using the corners. So when I'm telling you to use the corners, I'm not saying that I want you to still lay this blade flat, and I want you to make sure that only one of the corners is touching, and that's eliminating your mistakes. You don't wanna go in there and make it straight, because then you can make a mistake this wide, and you don't wanna make a mistake that wide. You wanna work these corners. Now, another thing that I see people doing an awful lot of is I see people leaving the head too much. So I got my 614 Barber Supply. Check out 614 Barber Supply. If you guys need anything, use code Eddie, 10% off. That'll save you anything other than Gamma. And of course, if you guys wanna help me out, you wanna help this channel grow, use my code Eddie with anything Gamma or Stylecraft, and they'll hook you up. You'll get 10% off. So anyways, back to what I was saying. Right here, this is what I see a lot of people doing. Now, this is a taper blade, and this is a perfect example, really. People are gonna hold it flat like this, but this truly isn't flat because there's space there. Flat is actually right here on the taper blade, but I wanna maintain that contact on the scalp. Now, if you're constantly flicking out and leaving the scalp too much, you're going to wind up making mistakes. So there also comes a time in every barber's career where they begin to understand when is a good time to pull off of the clippers and try some shear over comb and try some texturizing shears. Now, texturizing shears, I use texturizing shears a lot when I'm dealing with some curly hair that's just not laying right and I wanna relax some of them curls. It really works well for that. Also works well for just kind of perfecting the blend and getting into some areas that you might not be able to fix with shear over comb. However, if you noticed, I'm always gonna begin with shear over comb. I wanna fix like most of my problems with regular shear over comb. And that's what you're seeing me do. You're seeing me relax some of them curls. And that's really what the key to this particular blend is, because it stops me from making mistakes into all those weird growth patterns and all those things that could happen, these shear over comb stuff, this is what's actually relaxing it and making it look like a really smooth and good blend. Now, you got a hell of a lot of hair on top, and you know what? I know it's gonna kill me in the algorithms, but I'm gonna show you guys how I cut the top. It's not very difficult, especially on curly hair. There's a couple of things that you can do on curly hair that will save you some time when you're cutting. One, there's no real great reason to texturize curly hair or point cut curly hair. When it's this curly, it's gonna do what it wants. So why put your finger at unnecessary risk with trying to act fancy and do something that's not really gonna have any actual effect? So we're gonna do a super, super easy cut on the top that anybody can do, and there's no reason to like overcomplicate it, all right? He wants to wear his hair fairly long on top. We're just gonna take a little bit off. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna knock out with my FX3 trimmer. I've been really enjoying this trimmer, by the way, because lately I've been wearing the rig from Slicker. You guys can check the description for this, but when I'm wearing the rig from Slicker, I got all my guards where they're supposed to be. I got all my shears where they're supposed to be. Everything that I wanna grab is right there for me. But the trimmer, using the FX3 trimmer, it doesn't weigh like nothing, and it doesn't weigh down this vest at all. It's perfect. I usually put that, and then I put my Rebel. I'm probably banging into my microphone, so sorry. So I usually put that, I put my Rebel, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why I started going and gravitating back to the FX3, just for that reason. So we're gonna go through, we're gonna work this edge up all the way to each side, little by little, and I'm gonna go through, I'm actually gonna put some enhancements. I got some Tomb 45 spray, and yo, shout out to Chris Basio and Tomb 45 because they just gave me something really nice, man. Check it out. I'm gonna do a video on this. This is actually going to be part of my station tour. So I'm gonna be doing a station tour. I'm gonna show you guys how I film, what I'm using, everything that's in this room that I use to cut hair, and what I feel like is truly the ultimate barber station. And if you guys wanna check that out, you wanna stick around for this next video. But yo, thank you to Tomb 45 for showing me some love and sending me this power mat and all this other stuff, man. I'm still figuring out how to use it. All right. So if you notice at the corners of the edge up, I used a pair of shears. Now that's a little trick right there. That's a trick that I've been using from way back, but sometimes your trimmer is just not gonna get those little hairs that are sticking out over top of your edge. So I wanna use my shears, and I just wanna make that as square and as straight as I possibly can. And of course, I'm jumping back, I'm using the mirror. Now don't get discouraged, like when you go to like do your edge ups, if they're not coming out perfect, you really gotta mess with these a lot just to get them right. Little bit of Tomb 45 color gel, we're gonna put that in there. And yeah, sometimes I gotta turn off the green screen because if I'm using a green tool, it'll just wind up keying that out. We're gonna do it on his eyebrows as well. I just like to clean up the middle so that he doesn't go out looking all bushy. But he's starting to look pretty fresh here. And I'm using the Essence razor. That's a sick razor from Titleist. Amazing razor, and it holds the blade together by two really powerful magnets, but the unit itself is like super heavy and super long, and it just gives you a lot of control when you're doing shaving. And it holds feather artist blades as well as normal double edge blades. Plus you can put it up as high as you want. So if you guys want to use this super expensive razor, it's like $300 and some odd. But if you want one of those razors, you could use my code Eddie. You can save 10% with that razor company as well. So we're knocking it down. We got a little bit more work to do on this edge, and there is no real secret to doing the perfect edge. Like, and anybody who tells you there is, there really isn't. It just takes a lot of little messing around. You're trying to draw a straight shape across something that's curved, and when you get down to it, it's not as easy as it sounds in most cases. So using a little bit of shear over comb there, and using a little bit of just freehand shear work around the head. Like you could look at the silhouette and you could see if there's hairs that are sticking out. Just chop them down, get rid of them. Now another thing I like to do with the eyebrows is a lot of people like to use I used to use my trimmer, and I used to do a little trimmer over my taper comb, but actually with darker eyebrows, most of the people you could do this with, you're gonna put your number 1 on, put it in the open position, and you can knock down all those long hairs in the eyebrows. That way he doesn't walk out with some like really bushy looking eyebrows. All right, I'm using a green color card, so I had to cut the green screen off, but I'm using the Sean Cuts Hair color card, and I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna put in that Tube 45 no drip. And I'm telling you guys this right now, I have used a lot of different guns for spraying this color. This one right here is like $60. I link it in the description below. It's an amazing gun. It doesn't run until you actually pull the trigger. Shoots at 30 PSI. And so far, I've been able to use this for quite a while, and I have no complaints about this. It's just a fantastic, fantastic air gun, charged with USB-C. And, you know, I'm able to put in this Tomb 45 no drip quite easily with this. So that's what I'm saying, though. That's like one of my favorite, not one of my, that's my favorite type of color enhancement to use is the Tomb 45. I prefer it over the Kiss. I don't like mixing Kiss Express with water or Kiss Express with alcohol because it could just clump and it could clog your gun. And when that happens, you pretty much gotta just throw these out, man. I've had no luck cleaning my guns out, none. But the good news is I've not had to clean my guns since I started switching to the Tomb 45 no drip, like I said. But yeah, we're about to cut the top. So like, as you can see, he looks like Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons right now. And we got to do something about this. You know, his hair is super cool though. It's really curly, and he could just about wear it like this. He really could. But we're gonna begin right down the middle, right? This is as simple as it could be. Cutting how to cut the top. All right. I'm just gonna give you a quick recap, full video. Obviously, I'll put it right here. Cutting a guideline right down the middle, and I usually leave the bangs out of this. And then I'm gonna stand off to the side, and I'm gonna pick up that stationary guideline, and I'm gonna work it down my head in a little row backwards. Jumping over to the other side, little row, little row, little row. All the while following the curvature of the scalp, keeping it directed out to 90 degrees. Now that's something that we talk about in how to cut the top video, but a lot of people seem to really overcomplicate cutting the top, especially when they're just taking like a little bit off, and there's no great reason for it. There's no great reason for it. So we're gonna use this Foreman cream, man. This is what I've been using on my mullet, and this brings out a lot of curl in your client. So I put a lot of this stuff in here, and I just work it through his hair. I'm actually gonna dry it with the why can't I think of it? Diffuser. I'm gonna dry it with a diffuser here, and that's gonna stop it from frizzing. That's gonna keep it in place, and we're gonna hit it with like a little bit of oil sheen just to get it down there. But basically what I wanted his hair to do is I wanted it to kind of curl back up. So that's the whole point of using that. So once I do that, little by little, I'm gonna do that. And I also wanna try to blow dry it off of his forehead a little bit so that we could see his edge up and we could bring out some of them details in the cut. But that's pretty much the cut, man. I hope that you guys enjoyed this cut. I hope that you found it useful. I hope that you learned something, and we got a lot more tutorials coming for you. And the next very next video that I hope I can do is my station tour, just to show you guys everything we did here. But that's the cut. I hope that you like it, and if you learn anything, man, do me a favor, show me some love down below. Smash that like button, drop me a comment, drop the comment fire. We're gonna do fire for a chance to win, I don't know. Let's give away a Rebel, yo. So drop a comment down below, hashtag fire Eddie's Army BTI, something like that. Drop me some comment, it doesn't even really matter what it is, and I'll enter you for a chance to win the Rebel, all right? And the Rebel is literally one of my favorite clippers of all time, and I know that you guys are gonna enjoy it. So with that being said, man, I'll give you a quick little glimpse of what we're gonna do next. There's some clippers in here you probably ain't allowed to see yet. And you guys can head over to my next video, the station tour, and I'll see you over there. Peace. Hold up a second. Unless it's not done yet, because I didn't even film it yet. But I promise you, by the time this goes live,